Let's jump into our teaching today. I want to share with you how you can strengthen weak hives in the month of July. Beekeeping season is so unique, isn't it? I mean, all of us know that in the spring you start beekeeping if you're new, or if you're an existing beekeeper from the previous year. Even in the spring, you're kind of starting new. You're starting the year new anyway with an existing hive. Spring gets everything going. All spring, we're trying to make splits, get our hives built up, avoid swarms, catch swarms, get honey supers on. It's kind of like, okay, that's spring. And then we get into summer, and summer is like, okay, more honey supers on, some mite control, things like that. And then eventually we get into July, where things start to change about July. Now, this is going to be different depending on where you live. So you make the adjustment, maybe a week or two or three, or if you're in another part of the world, maybe a month or two. But here in July in Illinois, we start entering into a dearth. And that's when, we just don't have as much things for the bees to go out and forage on. So in the month of July, that's kind of sometimes when we start to identify colonies that are weak. And the reason we're able to notice that is because basically there's not a lot of foraging going on, not a lot of nectar coming in. So the weak colonies start getting a lot weaker. A weak colony can kind of fool you when there's a nectar flow, because they can use that nectar to keep going, limp along, feed young, raise brood, and make comb with incoming nectar, even though they're a little weak. But they can't fool you when there's a low or hardly no nectar coming in. At that point, they just can't make a lot of wax anymore. They can't raise a lot of brood anymore. And this colony is weak. So we start to notice weak colonies when the nectar flow starts. In other words, even when there's a dearth, your weak colonies, because they're the ones that are getting robbed out. Yeah, usually they're the ones. All the big colonies are detecting these weak colonies, and they go and just ravage them and take all their honey stores. And so that's another indication of a weak hive. Well, to avoid this, I think we're still early enough in the season, most of us here in the US, where there's things that we can do in the month of July to strengthen a weak colony. One of the things I did this year, and I made a video documenting the whole story, and let me tell you a story of what really happened. I came out of winter with a nice colony. It was in a nail hive. It's my yellow hive out in the bee yard down there, and it looked really good. But as soon as I began to manipulate it late winter, early spring, I just saw a lot of mites. And it was so many mites that I didn't even do a mite count. That's how bad it was. I didn't want to know, because I was going to do the same treatment. So the weather was decent for Formic Pro. I slapped 2 Formic Pro pads in there, and boom, it just like slaughtered all the mites. I mean, that much just killed the mites, brought the level down. But after that, they never really kicked back, never really snapped back good. They had a queen, there was brood. Brood wasn't looking good. I kept hoping that they'd rebound, but they didn't. They got worse and worse until eventually I saw bald brood. Bald brood is when you see the kind of the pupa that is just not really, mine wasn't in the purple-eyed stage yet, but the pupa was just kind of there without a cap over it. So you got these slightly developed heads of bees looking at you. We call it bald brood because it looks like a bald bee. And, they're not alive yet, but they're not covered like they're supposed to be. That's bald brood. Now, bald brood can be caused from wax moths burrowing underneath through the comb and damaging the developing brood. But that's usually in a linear, like a straight line. And that wasn't what I was seeing. These were patches. So I knew it wasn't hygienic behavior, because these bees had so many mites coming out of winter, they're not hygienic. So it had to be the third thing that can cause bald brood is just heavy mite infestation, the viral load. So then I knew, okay, gosh, I got to get this hive coming back. So if you watch the video, when I watch my video, the story goes, and I've documented in different videos, but I actually had a resource hive, a 5-frame resource hive going. So I grabbed it, I put the 5 frames, bees and all, inside this struggling hive. but I didn't move a new queen. I let them keep their old queen. The video I made today was a re-examination of how that yellow anel hive is doing after, I think is what it's been, 2 weeks, after I put the 5-frame resource hives in there. What's really amazing, and I got another video too, where I had about 1,000 bees left on the wall of the resource hive, that then I made sure the queen stayed in her resource hive, and I put new frames in there, maybe some drawn comb, but not all of it was drawn comb. Within a week and a half, the resource hive snapped back. I made a video where you'll just be shocked at how fast 1,000 bees and their queen just got the whole resource hive going again with eggs and brood. It was just amazing. So anyway, the video that I made today, watch it after the live stream, shows the results of what has happened after moving a resource hive to shore up, to build up this weak colony. So that's kind of the story about weak colonies in July. You have to assess them. You have to determine, well, David, how do I know a weak hive from a strong hive? I think all of us could identify a strong hive. I mean, you know, a strong hive is, you open it up and you can't hardly see any frames because bees are everywhere. Bees are boiling out everywhere. That's just like insanely strong, right? But if they're low in population, that could be an evidence of a weak hive. If they have not many resources, or if they still haven't drawn out all the frames yet, that's so frustrating. Or if you see signs of pests, like small hive beetle, viral destructor, wax moth, if you see those things, or if you see signs of diseases like European foul brood presenting itself in not pearly white larvae, but grayish brown to black larvae that's twisted in cells, or you can see the breathing tubes on the larvae. They're not pearly white, they're transparent. Then you know European foul brood or American foul brood, God forbid, perforated brood holes on the caps of pupae, and it smells really bad. So those are signs of weak colonies. Deformed wing virus can also be a sign of weak colonies. And by the way, if you're not familiar with deformed wing virus, you can usually see it in sometimes in the drones, but other bees. But you'll see deformed wings that look like they've kind of been burnt. So that's how you kind of make a decision if they're weak or not. Well, let's talk about how you strengthen them. One of the ways that I love strengthening is by adding frames from a resource hive, like I've shown in the video. Always move over, listen very carefully, always move over capped brood. That's pupae. Because you want to move the pupae because they don't require being fed anymore. They're capped over. And so that they just need to be kept warm. And so that's, you know, you move the bees and all. That's what I showed in my video. They didn't fight. We demonstrated it. Bees got along good of two different hives. And other thing you need to do if you find a weak colony is you need to feed. That's right. I love to add my feeding additives that I don't have any right here at the table, but you know, I use Honeybee Healthy, Amino Bee Booster, and then the protein powder, Ultra Bee protein, like a protein powder, and mix those. 1 teaspoon of each per 1 quart, 1 sugar water. That's what you need to be feeding them in the fall to build them up. Now, another thing is you need to replace perhaps a poor laying queen. It could be that everything is good except your queen is failing. Not uncommon in July for the queen to just run out of gas. And the way you know that, if you look at your hive, there's no pests, no disease, plenty of plenty of resources. Everything looked good except you're suffering in brood. That's probably a sign, if all else is great, that your queen might be laying subpar. And so at that point, there's still time now for you to put a new queen in there. If you have a resource hive, which I always promote, then you could get a queen cage and you can put the queen from the resource hive in a queen cage, put a marshmallow in the opening and let them slowly eat through the marshmallow after you kill the poor laying queen in the weak hive and give them a new queen. So wait 24 hours, introduce your new queen from your resource hive. You can do that. That would help a lot. Now, we always fall back to combining hives. This is going to be something you're going to really watch for as we get into August, September, and October. You don't want to go through winter with a very weak hive, because if you have a winter that's substantial at all, likely not to survive. So it's better to go ahead and combine it. You lay a sheet of newspaper above your existing strong colony and put and on your weak colony, get them all down into a single deep, and then move them on top of the newspaper, cut a couple of slits in the newspaper, and then they'll eat through the newspaper in 24 hours. And you have to remove the queen out of the weak hive and let that new box, that new deep, become part of the stronger hive. So that's how you combine with the newspaper. Now, one of the biggest tools that you're going to have this time of year is going to be drawn comb. It really is a must. I'm sorry, if you're still trying to get combs drawn out in the month of July, a lot of things are against you right now. Number one, there's just not as much nectar as we see in the spring. So bees build up their nests. That's why they swarm early spring, because they need to build comb. The new swarm lands somewhere and rapidly builds frames or comb. And so they don't do that as well as they get further into the season. So without a heavy nectar flow, they can't metabolize their incoming nectar that they ingest into wax through their wax glands. So drawn comb is a really big thing. Today, when I was making the video on showing you guys how I actually used the resource hive to strengthen the yellow anel hive that got weaker and weaker and weaker, one of the things that I was just amazed about was the ability for the queen to change entirely of how successful she is based on the number of bees in the hive. So you always have to think about that. A lot of people think that I've got a failing queen, but what you might really have is a very low population of bees in there. Bees can't do much to take care of what the queen produces if they're low in population. You understand? So they just can't really take care of the larvae. Once the larvae develops and starts, before they cap it over, they can't feed the larvae adequately, and it dies, or they go ahead and consume it for protein. They cannibalize it. So it's not so much the queen's fault as it's just not a lot of resources out there helping her. So I would really strongly urge you to be checking on your bees now while you still can do something. Now you can still treat for mites. You can still buy a new queen if you need to. You can still move frames over, strengthen those weaker colonies. And that's why, again, you always need to have 2 hives. It's better than 1, because you can always move some frames over from a stronger hive to help out a weaker hive. So July is that starting month. Think of it this way. This is a month where we have to act now. You just can't keep a weak colony and hope that it's going to get better without doing anything. You got to do something very strategically, very deliberately right now to get that weak colony built up. So I'll keep you up to date on my yellow hive that we're trying to build up for winter, and we'll keep you up to date on how that goes. But keeping the mite levels down is really important for me right now, and then making sure they lay a lot of good brood for bees to heavily populate that hive. Yep, that's good. All right, well, that's my teaching for today, and I just wanted to share with you that be on the lookout, and don't panic if you see your colony is getting weak. There are still things that you can do in the month of July, but July is a month you need to start doing it. Man, we get into August, and it gets a lot harder to rectify things. All right, well, let's go ahead and take some questions. All right, thank you for your super sticker tonight, Tim Sanders. I appreciate that so much. Hey, John. Hi, Dave and team. Why do we have an abundance of drone brood in our healthy hives? I say, why do we have an abundance of drone brood in our healthy hives? Would drone comb frames help reduce the amount of drone brood in our regular brood frames? Okay, John, a couple of things here. If you have a lot of frames of very healthy capped worker brood, very smooth, if you're seeing plenty of capped worker brood, then you can also see a healthy colony produce a lot of drone brood. Drones are not raised in unhealthy colonies. Now, if you don't see a lot of frames of worker brood, capped over worker brood that's smooth, if you don't see a lot of that, my concern is that your queen is failing. You could even have a laying worker if you have a lot of drone brood. So you don't really specify how much worker brood you have. But let's assume your worker brood looks really good. You got plenty of frames of worker brood, and you just also have a lot of drone brood. It's just what bees do. They just raise drones sometimes. Sometimes it's because the frames are that big, the cells are that big, and the queen lays unfertilized eggs and they become drone. Yep. Freedom Apiaries, congratulations on the 150,000 subscribers. Well, thank all of you for being a subscriber. I actually looked today at my stats. As content creators, we have a whole studio application from YouTube that we use to evaluate everything we do. And one of the things is I have a little bit more viewers than I do subscribers, meaning, let's say out of 150,000 subscribers, I have 300 people that view my YouTube videos. So I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I have more than half of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed. That's easier to say it that way. So if I could just get the other half to subscribe, it'd be so nice. Oh gosh. But I realize some of the people that watch my channel, maybe those of you watching now, you're watching on your TV, and there are some people that don't know how to subscribe on TV, on your television. You can do it. And some days I think I should make a video and show you how to subscribe on TV. Hey, Mark, how are you doing? I don't see many bees at the entrance. And last week I noticed some of the capped honey has been damaged. I thought the wax was melting and sliding down. What do I need to do? I don't know, Mark. Is it really hot where you live? Have you been extremely, extremely hot? Are you melting your wax from the hot weather? If not, when you do an inspection, are you actually kind of damaging it while you're manipulating your frames? Is that why the honey is running down if it's damaged? The other thing that comes to mind, if you're not noticing it, you could be experiencing small hive beetle larvae that are actually tearing up and sliming. We call it sliming your honey supers. They're known for that. That's when it will run down. It will actually run out of the hive. Look closely, look down inside cells. They're less than a ½ inch long. They're tiny little grubs or worms in your hive, and they will damage it and make that honey run out. Yep. That might be I hope that's not what's going on, but it could be. Thanks, Mark, for your $10 super sticker. Appreciate all of you making donations today, helping the live stream go around. Appreciate it so much. Hey, John, first time beekeeper since this May. I lost my queen and put a new mated queen in the hive. I noticed a frame with 5 to 6 capped cells. Can I make a 5-frame nuke with the queen cells? Oh, 5 to 6 capped queen cells. Wait a minute. So you lost your queen and then you put a new mated queen in the hive. Not sure when you did that. Did you do that in May? Did you do that recently? And then I noticed a frame with 5 or 6 capped queen cells. Can I make a 5-frame nuke for the queen cells? Where are the capped queen cells, John? That's another question. If they're down on the very bottom of the frame, that's likely they're wanting to swarm. So you could actually control it by taking that frame with those swarm cells and making a 5-frame nuke out of it. Yeah. If they're up higher in the middle or above, it sounds like your queen that you bought is failing and they're raising her by what we call superseding her. And in that case, no, you don't want to take them away. They need them to replace their queen. So a lot of times you can see how challenging it is for me to answer questions because there's so many questions I want to ask. When did you lose your queen? When did you put a mated queen in there? Where are these cap cells located? And so a lot of things are contingent upon answers to those questions. So maybe that'll help you out, John. Hope so. Yeah. I see several of you making donations. I appreciate that so much. Hey, John, hello from upstate New York. I've been, with EAS, it takes me to the Northeast a lot. I've been to New York a lot. So a really beautiful country, by the way. The girls are busy bringing in nectar. Don't see much of dearth. Question is, that hive is strong and filled and drawing out second deep, which is just about full. Can I add a super? Yeah, absolutely. Ride it as long as you can. Ride that horse as long as you can, right? I mean, if there's a lot of nectar going on and they're drawing frames out and comb and they're bringing nectar in, buy gum, put a super on it. Ride that horse as long as you can, John. Absolutely. Who knows? You might be in a certain area where there's a lot of nectar for a little bit longer. Yeah, hope so. That's good. Okay, fish and hunting. Probably that's what that meant. 192. Hi, David. I just checked my hive and there's a cluster of bees underneath the hive hanging on the screen bottom board. It's currently 70 degrees Fahrenheit here, and are they just bearding, or should I be concerned? You should be concerned. If they're underneath, like not in the front, but underneath in the middle of the bottom board, the screen bottom board, it likely means that there could be a queen in there, like a virgin queen maybe, or a queen that's got misplaced and she just tried to get in a hive, but she couldn't. Check to make sure there's a queen in your hive. And if not, take the hive apart all the way down to the bottom board and kind of go through that group of bees and see if there's a queen in there and try to make a 5-frame nuke out of it if there's a queen in there. If not, you don't see a queen at all, shake the bees back in the box, see how it goes. Yeah, that's really pretty common, actually. I've seen it, and a lot of people ask me that same question. Yep. And the times that I have looked, there's always been a queen there. Interesting, isn't it? Crazy. Oh, Brian. Hi, Brian. Thank you for your donation tonight, Brian. It's always good to see you in the comment section of all the YouTube that I make. By the way, our winter bee kinds, if you don't know what those are, feeding bees in the candy, feeding bees with candy in the wintertime, they go on sale August the 1st. They sometimes sell out quickly. We've got some plans this year to keep them selling for quite a while. So that's not too far away, August the 1st. That's right around the corner. In fact, if I look hard, I can see August the 1st from here where I'm sitting. That's how close it is. Nathan, after 2 weeks, bees never touched the freshly waxed foundation in a super. I was trying to get them drawn out before the dearth. Should I just add more wax on top or scrape them and re-wax? Well, are you going to keep trying? You know, if it's over and they're not going to draw them out, I wouldn't scrape them. I would leave them like that, take them off the hive if they're not going to pull them out. And then you can just store them in a safe place where they don't get damaged or too hot or too cold or something. Keep them in a decent place. I'm sorry to hear that, Nathan. Man, that's frustrating, isn't it? Freshly waxed foundation in a super. And I always say that you need to try to get everything drawn out in the month of June. I've made several videos of how to get frames drawn out in the month of July, but you do need 2 things. You need a lot of wax on them. And thanks, Carmen, for your super sticker. So you need a lot of wax on them and you need a nectar flow. So sometimes you can feed them. If you thought about that, you can feed 1-to-1 to see if they'll draw them out. Sometimes that happens. Oh, we got a lot of Johns asking questions tonight. A lot of people named John. Is that a common name in beekeeping, John? John Zimmerman. You know, there's a lot of Davids in beekeeping too. David is a 1960, I was born in 1960. David was a common name in 1960, I guess. Hello, David. Thank you for all your great advice. First year beekeeper. Bees are doing great. Add a second box, then a super. Why isn't the queen going back down to lay in the bottom box? Thank you. She will, but a lot of times the bottom box gets really full of things like foraging, waggle dances, some pollen, some bee bread. It becomes a dance floor. It gets so occupied with so much of the daily foraging activities. So many bees are walking through there that the queen just stays up in that top deep. But I've seen it both ways. Sometimes I can't get the queen to do much in the top deep. I mean, she'll go back down to the bottom deep and stay there. And then they'll fill the second deep up with honey going into winter, which I like. I love it when they fill the top deep up with honey. It does. In fact, when I first started beekeeping almost 30 years ago, that's what we aimed for. We tried to get that second deep full of honey. But we were shocked that there came a shift in something, but bees kind of put a lot of brood in that second deep now, more than they used to anyway, in my experience. I wouldn't worry about it. Keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, there's a Paul Charler. Can I add another row of hives in front or behind of an existing row of 10 hives? And if so, how much space in between? Yeah, you sure can. Bees are going to find their home. Always think of yourself. What is it going to be like for you to go in there and work? You don't want to stand in front of a runway of bees while you're trying to work another row of hives. So if I was doing it, I'd have I'd have a row with 10 hives facing north. And if I wanted to add another row, I can add them as close as I could comfortably work between the two rows, but I'd make the second row face the opposite direction. Does that make sense? I make a lot of U's, the letter U. So some of my groups are shaped like a U. That works out good. You can have 5, 10, 15 hives in a U, and then you can just walk all around the U, and the bees fly in the middle, go to their unique hive. So that works out good too. Yeah. Good question, Paul. Sherry, that's my wife's name. Many of you responded. I made a video. Hold that question up here for a minute. I'll get to it. But I made a video a while back, and I mentioned that Sherry, there was a couple of comments that weren't so kind about Sherry being on YouTube with me at times. And again, one or two people, what can you say? But I said that Sherry doesn't feel comfortable being on YouTube because of that. But when I talked to her, she said, no, it's really not that. It's really not that I can't take a negative comment about myself or something. But I think she is going to be on a future video. We're going to be making one pretty soon. So hopefully we'll see more of Sherry coming back. I know all you guys just slammed me with comments. I must have received 100 or more comments like, we want Sherry. Yeah, I know. So Sherry will be coming back. Anyway, a different Sherry here, Sherry D. How many frames of capped honey should I leave on a new thriving hive? They've added a lot of nectar to the second deep so far. So you got this second deep with a lot of nectar in there. And then how many frames of capped honey should I leave on a new thriving hive? I assume you mean for winter. You know what? I don't see any need to leave more than one on there. If you got two deeps, one medium super on the top is plenty. Two seems overkill for me. It sure does. Two seems a bit much. Yep. All right, Donnie. So when you combine a weak hive with a strong hive, you have 3 deep hives. Yeah, that's right. Now, here's what I do. That's a big time question that people ask. Sometimes you're adding 4 if your other weak hive happens to have 20 frames, right? You got to be logical about it. You got to use common sense and just simply apply this method. How do I get these bees into 2 deeps? How do I get these 4 deep boxes? How do I get these 40 frames consolidated down to 20 frames? It's as simple as that. The way I do it, I look through all 40 frames and I keep the best 20. Which 20 have the most brood? Which of the 20 have the best nectar, the best honey, the best whatever, the best everything. The other frames, I'm going to take out and shake the bees off. So I just got to consolidate, shake, brush bees into the best 20 frames that you have. Yep. I know. It is a trick when you do that. Well, Ryan, how are you doing? Stark Lavender Fields made a video with Ryan. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for your donation tonight. Ryan's a great fella. Yeah. Thank you for your service too. What to do with your resource hive in the winter? Yeah, you can do 2 things. You can try to overwinter it. There are some people that swear that it's so easy to overwinter a 5-frame nuke, and they say they do millions of them and never lose a one. I don't know if they do or if they just talk a big talk. I've successfully overwintered some. Here's the deal. Where I live, it's cold. It can get 20 below zero wind chill factor. That's going to burn away a small 5-frame nucleus. I guarantee it won't make it. No way. If it was packed full of bees, it can't make it. Too cold at night. The way that I've done it is by keeping the Winter Be Kind, a 5-frame Winter Be Kind board on there, insulating the heck out of it, and just keep feeding them. Keep them out of the wind and keep feeding them, and they have a good chance of making it. But they need a lot of bees. They need a lot of food for winter. So if you don't want to do that, the other plan is to, like we've said, consolidate them take 2 of them and put them in a 10-frame deep box, and that way you're going to have to kill one of the queens or sell one of the queens. And then you're going to consolidate 2 5-frame nukes into 1 deep box. Yep. I've done that a lot. That's how I do my mating nukes. Jim Pierce, how are you doing? You became a YouTube member. Thank you so much for that. On my YouTube channel, at the bottom, it says join you, but you can become an ambassador, a Beak Squad ambassador, or you can become a nectar novice. And I think not this Sunday, but the Sunday after, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to make sure my schedule allows it. But we have a meeting, a live stream meeting with all of my members on my channel coming up soon. So be watching for that. Okay, Avon Wood, Esquitarian. I never can say that word. I know it has to do with horses. How can I guess how many bees are in a colony? I think my first hive failed last winter because I didn't have enough bees going into winter. Well, pull a frame up, and you want to see a frame that has very few showing cells. In other words, a full hive, you don't see many cells when you pull a frame up, open spots where a queen could lay. You see some, you might see 100, but you don't see the whole middle section with no bees on it. So you're going to look for a population of bees that are covering every single frame. So it's a hard call. I've talked to a lot of beekeepers about this, and a lot of new beekeepers. I've talked to, master beekeepers about it. Everybody has a different way of measuring what a heavily populated hive is, but just got to see a lot of bees covering the frames. Yeah. Local Buzz, Straight Creek Apiary. Hey, Brian, thank you for your super sticker tonight. I appreciate all of your gifts and donations to the live stream. It means so much to us. It really does. We've been doing live streams. This February be our second year, so about a year and a half into it. Hi, David. Can queenless colonies with just foragers accept new queen and take care of her and rear the brood? Yeah, they can. It's going to really put them behind the 8 ball. It's going to set them into not a good situation. What's going to happen is they're going to have to go back and start doing things that they're not at the right age to do it. They can do it a little bit, but they're not really good at it. I've actually tried that. As a matter of fact, I've actually had to do it a few times. It is slow going. You're trying to get a forager to take care of brood again. It's just not going to, it's for all intents and purposes. No, they can't do that. But I'm just going to kind of say it's possible. It can happen. There's always a stagger. There's always a little bit of age differences. But if you have that situation, shake some bees from another hive in there that are younger, and that'll help them out. Shake some nurse bees in there. Hey, Aaron, thanks for your donation. New double deep 20 frames. She only has 2 that she is laying in. The other 18 are packed with capped honey. I put a super on that I waxed myself, and they will not draw it out. No queen excluder on it. Yeah, I think you're honey bound. It sounds like to me. Do you have access, Aaron, to get to if it's capped over honey, which you said it was, 18 that are, wow, really? You've got 20 frames, 2 that she can lay in, 18 capped over. Here's what you need to do. You need to extract 10 frames and bottle it and let that be room for her to lay in. That's what I would do. Absolutely. That's crazy. I always wonder if the queen's not a problem, because usually if she's laying well, they don't get ahead of her like that. So check out the quality of your queen. Hey, Sally, thank you for your donation tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you and yours for everything. Second summer with the bees, and we're making it work. Sally, I like what you said. We do have to make it work, don't we? It doesn't work itself. We have to make it work. We leave bees alone, they'll get by. They might make it, but let's be honest, without our work helping them, there's a lot that can go wrong. And when it starts going wrong, it goes wrong fast. You know what I mean? There's always outliers of hives that nobody touches and they survive for eons, but that's outliers. Most of us have to really work at our bees. Yep. Hey, Richard. Hi, Dave. Just caught my first swarm. How long should I wait to do my first inspection? They're in a 10 frame box with a frame feeder. All right. You know what? I kind of like for that swarm to stay put a little bit. I don't want to go in there and make them all fly away again. I always worry about a swarm swarming again, right? But I'd say give them a week and a half, and then you can go in there and take a look. They'll be settled down. The queen will start laying in there. That'd be good. Well, congratulations. It's fun to catch the swarm. I read comments about people catching swarms for the first time, and they're like, man, that was such a great experience. It is. Hey, Greg, thanks for your super sticker tonight. I appreciate it so much. Yep. A lot of people don't realize that there's so much expense to YouTube. It doesn't have to be, but if you do it the way we do, you got to have lights, camera, action. There is a little bit of expense to it, so appreciate it. I have a resource hive that's queen they made is very small. She's laying good right now, but how long will she last being so small? I don't know if her longevity is connected to her size. I think her ovaries are developed. I think if she's laying good and she's just small, I think she'll be fine. I've got that small queen that was in my round hive, and she's really a great layer. She's in my resource hive, filling that thing up now. I wouldn't worry about it. No, I really wouldn't. I think she'll pull it off just fine. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything. Yep. It's just like people, I'm 6'1". There's other people that are 4'1" or 5'1". Yeah, I don't know if that really matters a lot about how size, but I know a lot of people will talk about, oh my gosh, look at the size of that queen. That's a great queen. Now that's a good layer right there. Look how big she is, And I get it. I know there's more room for eggs, and I get, all that, but you just can't knock success when you have a tiny queen just filling the house up with eggs either. Hey, Ronnie, how are you doing? I'm seeing a lot of activity at my entrance, but there's no storing of honey. Could they be consuming it as they bring it in this time of the year? Yeah, that's what's happening. And that's going to be true. Those of you that are counting on fall to help your bees, like they have goldenrod available in the fall, other asters, yellow aster and such. You're going to think, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff coming in the front door. My bees are getting, all this honey, all this pollen, but they just eat it up as soon as it comes in the fall. So that may be what's going on with you, Ronnie. It sounds like they're consuming it. There's a big colony. They got a lot going on, raising a lot of brood. You might think about feeding them if you don't have any supers on. And especially once that dearth hits, they're going to need fed. I made 2 videos a few days ago about how to feed your bees during a dearth. You got to watch those videos. You got to keep them fed. Thanks, Charlie. Always good to see you on the comments on YouTube as well. Thank you for your super sticker tonight. I appreciate it so much. Well, there's Henry. Have resource hive, took a green dot queen from one hive, put her in what I thought was a queenless hive. Wasn't. I looked around to see if I could find her on the ground. Nothing. What did they do with her? Well, I've had that happen to me where I thought, well, where's my queen? She was in there. So I look on the ground in front of it, looking for a green dot or something. You don't see her. They can easily fly away with her. Now kill her, then they just pick her up, fly off, drop her in the grass 10 feet away. Bugs eat her. Raccoon will eat her. A skunk will eat her. I don't know. It's just hard to tell, isn't it? And a lot of people do make that mistake of thinking they need to replace a queen when the hive already has one, or they're raising a virgin queen sometimes too. Yep, that happens as well. Hey, Brian, how are you tonight? I inspected my hive today and found some queen cells that have been open from the side and be dead inside. What could cause this? Oh, everybody knows. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but those of you that kept bees for a while, you know what this means. It means that when one of the queens emerged first, she went and killed the other queen cells, the queens that were inside of those queen cells. And once they kill the queens by stinging them, the queen doesn't lose her stinger when she stings other queens. Then the other bees just start tearing the cells down and eating or getting rid of the pupa that's inside of that. That's what's going on. Got a new queen. She's ruling the house, telling people, take those queen cells down. I've already killed those queens. Todd, thanks for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate it so much for your donation. You guys are great. Yeah, appreciate that. Hey, Thomas. Hi, David. I will need to move my hive this year to a new plot of land. Any recommendations? Moving them in a pickup truck? I don't want to lose them. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. Can you wait till winter? Move in the winter. Always is great. I'm hoping you're moving them more than 2 miles. That's going to be better for the foraging activities to resume in their new location. I've moved a lot of hives on trailers, pickup trucks, flatbeds, and all that. My recommendation is, if you're going to use your pickup truck, you got to lift them up pretty high. They're heavy. You're going to have somebody help you do that. Screen them off at night after they're all home. Hardware cloth, 1/8, same as the bottom board screen. Screen them off at the bottom. Put a tie-down strap from the bottom board all the way around the top cover so it all stays locked down together. And then hoist them into the pickup truck at night. Move them that night. Set them. And then if you want to open them that night or wait in the morning, open them up. When you travel with the bees in the back of your pickup truck, always tie them down good with tie-down straps. Always take your smoker and smoker fuel and a lighter. Always carry your bee suit. Always carry gloves. Carry everything you need in case there is the worst case scenario. Somebody rear ends you and bees go everywhere. You need your smoker and your suit. So plan accordingly for worst case scenarios. Yep. Okay, we got a few more we can take before we do the spin to win. If a hive swarms and the hive left behind isn't doing well, can you recombine with the original hive they swarmed from? Absolutely, but those are two distinct different hives now. They are unrelated. They will fight each other. They're not happy with each other anymore. Yeah, they will not just say, "Oh, you're back. Good to see you. Welcome. Come on back in. What have you guys been up to lately? You've been having fun? We've been having it. We've been missing you. We've been missing you." No, they don't do that at all. So you're going to have to do the whole newspaper thing, kill a queen on one half, newspaper them, and do it that way. That's a good question. Hey, Aaron, what do you do with a flow hive super after you harvest for storage? I need to harvest mine, by the way. That's going to be another video I'm going to make real soon. I would say drain it. You know, it's above a queen excluder. So drain it and store it where, you know, bugs and bees and ants or whatever doesn't get in there, and just keep it out of the way of that kind of stuff until next year we can put it on. Yep. You just got to store it. That's what we all do that with all of our supers. So however you treat your Langstroth honey super, I would treat the flow hive the same way. One thing I do want to note about a flow hive, I've made a lot of videos, well, a handful about the flow hive. I bought the flow hive so I could get more experience in helping people that have flow hives. A lot of people have flow hives, believe it or not. Marianne Livingston, thank you for your super sticker. But I'll say this about a flow hive. My experience the first year was not all that good. They didn't build up good. They didn't make a lot of honey. I'm not blaming it on the flow hive. It could have been the bees themselves. Second year, this hive has done better. They've filled up their honey supers. It's going well. I got a second deep on it. I like how it's going. I do like turning a crank and getting honey to come out in a bottle. But here's my dilemma, all right? I like to put all of my honey in a 5-gallon honey bucket with a gate on the bottom. And then I bottle through my big 5-gallon bucket. I bottle in smaller bottles. I was going to give a bottle away, but I'm not ready to do that tonight. I want to give a bottle of honey from our red wax. We'll do that we might do that Saturday. But anyway, I can't take a little 1 pound or 8-ounce jar because the flow hive it comes all out at once. So you got to take a big quart or 2 quarts or something big and fill it all up at once, right? And so I'm thinking about, I'd rather just take a 5-gallon bucket out there and let it flow into a 5-gallon bucket. And then I can bottle out of that. Does that make sense, all of you flow hive people out there? So many people tell me that I'm always doing the flow hive wrong. You know, it's like, how hard? What am I doing wrong? It's a flow hive. It's not that hard to operate. A flow hive is a Langstroth hive, people. There's nothing different about it. It's a Langstroth hive. It's built a Langstroth hive. The only difference is the frames in the top part, they separate toward the outside. They kind of tear open toward the outside, and the honey runs down, and it goes into a trough, and it goes into your tube. That's the only difference. Everything else is identical. It's not a whole different hive. It's a Langstroth hive, a different way to extract. Hey, EL, David, how wonky is the typical laying queen of a new queen, particularly a mail order banked queen? I'm on the second replacement queen for a nuke 1 week in. Some cells have 1 eggs, some 2 or 3. Okay, 1 week in. Okay, 1 week in, don't worry about that. It's real common for her to keep laying two or three more eggs until she kind of gets things worked out pretty good. A lot of times she's confined because of excess honey, like honey bound or maybe pollen bound, and she doesn't have a lot of places to lay, but eggs just essentially come out as she walks. And so she's got to put them somewhere. So it could be that they're honey bound, could be more likely that she's so new that she just wants to lay everywhere. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Let's take one more question. Then we'll do spin to win. Got you off guard. Hey, Todd. Oh, by the way, Todd, before I answer your question, all of you, just remember, if you ask me questions tonight, I don't get to them. Tomorrow, I will take all of your questions and I will answer them from the green chair. I make a video, unedited, raw David, tomorrow, editing. I'm not editing any video, just making sure that I answer all your questions from the green chair. That'll be coming up tomorrow. Found many queen cells 16 days ago. No eggs or larvae. Inspect today, and both deeps are completely honeybound. Queen cells are gone. First super on for 6 weeks, and bees have barely touched it. What do you think? Yeah, here's what I think. You lost a queen, and they raised new ones. They could be swarms. You didn't say where you saw them at, but let's assume that they are supersedure cells. That's a lot for supersedure. Oh, did you say how many? Oh, you didn't really say. Inspect today and completely honeybound. Queen cells are gone. Oh, no, you did say that. No? Found many. You just said many. Okay. So what's happened during that period of being queenless, they didn't have to use much of the honey nectar to support brood, so they just made it into honey. So what you're going to have to do now is make sure you get a queen in there. So I think you probably have a queen getting started from those cells. She's just not laying enough yet for you to notice that. But you're going to, like I told the other beekeeper, you're going to have to probably harvest some of that capped honey and use it to allow room for the queen to lay. All right, let's spin the wheel. All right, let me set this up here. All right. In case you're new to my live stream, thank you so much for watching tonight. I appreciate that. Got too many lights on. But this is something that all of you can participate in. We have a lot here tonight that we could do. You could win something tonight, or you could have special things. So let's just spin it and see where it lands. I'm more worried about this than you are, because I gotta do some stuff that's embarrassing sometimes. And of course, it always falls in a blank space. Okay, let's go right here. Let's back up one. I'm not going to play with that blank space all. A bee fact. Where's the bee fact at? Bee fact. All right, here's a bee fact. A pound of honey is made by 2 million flowers visited. Bees fly 55,000 miles back and forth to bring a pound of honey. That's crazy, isn't it? Wow, that's a bee fact. 2 million flowers visited for a pound of honey. That's insane. All right, let's do a giveaway now. We've got a tumbler here. It's a very nice tumbler you can drink out of with Beak Squad all over it. And if you would use the word #tumbler tonight, you could win the tumbler. And it's very durable. And as I've said before, these really keep cold drinks cold and hot drinks hot, and you could win this nice tumbler. So in the comment section, just leave the word #tumbler, all lowercase. And if you enter it in 15,000 times, it does not increase your chance to win. So just put in #tumbler. We'll get this shipped out to you. If you live really far away, where it's going to cost us $5 million to ship it to you, we'll offset this with something of an online digital product or a class or something. But if you live here in the US, we'll get this shipped out to you. So #tumbler. This one is autographed, by the way. If you like an autograph one, you can appreciate that. If you don't like me, just take some alcohol and rub that off, and and you won't have to see my autograph on there. Yeah, I got a Hive. Speaking of autographs, I spoke in Nevada this year at their state conference, and they gave me, one of the things they gave me was this nice Hive tool with my name on it. Well, I want to use it, but I can't. It's so pretty. It's got so many nice things on it that I just can't use it. So I understand about names on things. All right. Hashtag Tumblr. Get your name on there. Get your chance to win the Tumblr tonight. By the way, if you're watching this replay of this live stream, there's no need for you to try to win it. If you're watching the replay, we're doing this live, so your chance of winning is zilcho if you're watching a replay. All right, let's go ahead and do the draw, Robbie, and see who is going to win tonight. Appreciate so much for Sherry and Robbie and Jessica for helping us out. They've done a fantastic job tonight, making the live stream happen, so I don't have to work as hard. Appreciate it. All right, who's going to win the Tumblr tonight? Derek, there you go. Derek's the winner. Hey, Derek, be sure and email us within 24 hours at longlanehoneybees@gmail.com, and we'll get that shipped out to you. Email us, let us know your mailing address. Congratulations. All right, that's great. Wow, awesome. Hey, don't forget, we're going to have a live stream this Saturday. For those of you that don't know, this Saturday at 1 o'clock Central Time, live stream. We're going to have a live audience right over here with us, and we're also going to be broadcasting like we're doing right now. So if you don't have much going on Saturday afternoon at 1, be sure and drop in, be a part of our live stream. I'm going to be teaching on beekeeping isn't for cowards. Uh-oh, what does that mean? That'd be an interesting thing. Beekeeping is not for cowards. So that's coming up on Saturday. That's awesome. Let's throw one more question in there, Jessica or Sherry or Robbie. Okay, we got time for a couple more maybe. My hive was being robbed in the middle of the day. I put in an entrance reducer. If robber bees are trapped inside the hive, would they become part of the hive? Probably would be torn up a lot before they did. A lot of bees that are robbers are almost hairless because they do get attacked so much when they go into a hive like that. The bees fight them. That's a good question. I don't know for sure. I'd say there's a chance. I'd say a 40% chance that they would become part of the hive. 60% chance that they're going to get beat up and killed. It's a good point. I heard somebody say once that if that happens, you'd take the top off and all the robbers will leave. I don't know if that's true. Alexandria, thank you for your super sticker tonight. By the way, those of you that have donated tonight, I appreciate it so much. If you don't know how or don't want to donate on YouTube, you can always donate on our website at honeybeesonline.com. You can go there, look on the left. There's a place where you can donate to the live stream. It's going to help us keep paying the bills for high-speed internet and things like that to make the live stream work. That's so important. I know I could go with a cheaper internet service, but then I just freeze like this. For a long time, or it turns black and it twirls. And so pay a little bit more money to have me still moving. So appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate all of you so much. And gosh, I can't say enough about what Beak Squad is to me. All of you are part of a great community, and it's been so nice seeing so many of you here tonight. Yeah, so much going on in the beekeeping world, beekeeping community. And keep asking me questions in my comments on YouTube. If you want to, I'll try to answer them as I can. But you just got to know I receive hundreds of comments on my channel from all the 750 plus videos that I've made. People will comment on all those 750 videos night and day. And I just don't have time to answer all of those. As you can tell, that would just be impossible. Also, one more tip that some of you are just going to hear here, nowhere else. Usually when I publish a video, you start leaving comments. I can answer those comments. It's very hard for me to answer those comments or answer a comment to a comment a month later. It just gets lost in my mind and in my screens and all. So I try to answer quickly when they're first posted, and I try sometimes to see them, but after a while, it's hard to see older comments after the ship just goes on down and sails away. I hope you understand. Yeah. I do want to thank all of you again for helping me reach 150,000 subscribers. It's been a long haul. I've been on YouTube since 2008 for 16 years making videos. My channel didn't even get monetized, I don't think, until maybe 2012 or 16, and really didn't have many subscribers until about 2019. So I worked hard for a lot of years without many people with me. So it's great to have people with me now. I love having people. So thank you so much. I love all of you so much. All of you are so great. I can't say enough about how much I enjoy helping you keep healthier bees and make fewer mistakes. And that's huge. That's what I'm here for. I have online classes. I get asked a lot of questions that reveal to me that some beekeepers don't even know the foundation to beekeeping. That's not good. I get it. I understand it. That's your right. However, beekeeping is more than just a hobby. It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of biology knowledge. So I really want you to take a class if you can. And I offer a lot of online courses that you can get up to speed on how to care for your bees. It's going to make it much better for you too. So check out our online classes at Honeybees Online as well. Again, appreciate you so much, guys. I appreciate all of you. I love all of you guys so much. You're the best. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you this Saturday at 1 o'clock. I hope you can make it. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the video tomorrow where I'll be answering more questions that I didn't get to. All right, everybody. Good night. See you next time.